Welcome to episode 6 of the Somerville Journal Scenes podcast, Seen and Heard. We bring you stories from the Somerville and Dorchester area community every single week. I'm reporter Eon Bailey, and I'm here with publisher and managing editor Brandon Roberts. Let's get started.
Listeners may be familiar with The Righteous Gemstones, the Danny McBride show on HBO, which films in Charleston and is set in Charleston. There was a particular scene I was telling Eon about this morning in not the most recent episode, but the one before, maybe it was 2 weeks ago. And the Walton Goggins character, Uncle Baby Billy, if you watch it, you know what I'm talking about, was asking for some money to film a movie, to increase the production quality on a movie he's building or filming. They asked him why he needed the money, and he said, well, I'm having to film this thing at a concrete factory all the way out in Goose Creek. So I thought it was interesting to get a Goose Creek reference in the show. And then I was also telling Eon I'm afraid to mess this name up, Woodland House out in Ridgeville. It's got a Somerville address, but it's in Ridgeville. A small part of one episode was filmed out in front of the Woodland House in Somerville. So kind of surprised that they've not used more locations in, Somerville, Moncks Corner, wherever. But it tends to be, because I looked it up after he mentioned Goose Creek, and it looks like it is just really very Charleston heavy on its filming, but there are sometimes they venture into the outskirts, but it's very very heavy Charleston.
I think it's great to see a lot of film productions and TV productions coming to the area. I don't watch Outer Banks, but I know that it's shot here. One thing that drives me crazy about that, though, is that it's filmed here and it's set in North Carolina at some coastal community that doesn't look like the natural environment that's showcased here in the show. Just set it in South Carolina. What's wrong with South Carolina? We're great. But yeah, I enjoy seeing that. Another HBO show that I'm really enjoying right now is The Rehearsal. If you're familiar with Nathan Fielder's work, he is so unique and has really carved his own distinct style of comedy. I loved Nathan For You. If you know, you know. And The Rehearsal is just like an unhinged, high budget, psychologically insane version of Nathan For You. So I've been enjoying The Rehearsal on HBO. I haven't caught up on Gemstones yet. Before we get into the news, I just want to say I had so much fun at Public Works Art Center's event at Woods Ace Hardware's bar. If you don't know, there is a bar in Ace Hardware on Trolley Road called Bolts and Brews. It's very cute. It's in the plant section. Public Works Art Center had an event there with a little music circle. That was super fun. Brandon and I both went, so just wanted to shout that out and say that was so great. And that will be showcased in next week's paper as well. We want to highlight all the community events that we can, and so that more people know what there is to do here in Somerville. Anything else from the past week that stood out to you, that you enjoyed, that you want people to know about before we get into this paper?
I did go, and this is not Somerville, but I did go for the first time on Saturday, April 26th, to Mepkin Abbey. And wow, what a neat place. And this will be in the upcoming Berkeley Independent, the May 7th Berkeley Independent. They dedicated their meditation garden. It's called the Meditation Garden of Truth and Reconciliation. And this Reeves couple, their last name's Reeves, donated a statue called Thy Father's Hand. And this basically depicts the hand of God with Jesus in the. It's just, anyway, they donated this sculpture to go in this garden, and they opened the garden. They went around. They blessed the bishop from the Diocese of Charleston. And went around and blessed all the. It was just an incredible, heck of a way to spend a Saturday. It wasn't even really what I expected in my head. I knew I wanted to go to Mepkin Abbey. I knew it was beautiful. Everybody was talking about it, but once we got there, the monks, being an actual abbey, it's not just a name, it's an actual place where monks, live and monk, whatever it is. Monk. But yeah, that was just a really neat thing. So I just wanted to mention that. That was, been doing this so long, I don't get really taken aback in a good or bad way about much anymore. But that one was, I was pleasantly surprised at how nice that event was. And it's setting right there on the river and all that was just incredible. You reported on this, Eon, but long-awaited expansion to the Berlin G. Myers Parkway has been completed under budget and ahead of schedule. How often do you hear that for a highway project? But you were there, and a lot of people were there and excited. Tell us a little bit about that event.
The event was highly anticipated and very well attended. There were officials from the town, county, and state present. Those figures included Department of Transportation Commission Chair TJ Johnson, who opened the event with his remarks. There was a presence by the SCDOT Secretary of Transportation Justin Powell. Dorchester County Councilman Todd Friddle spoke. So there were just a lot of folks who came together to celebrate this, and it reflects how many different entities were involved in getting the project done. You think of a roadway expansion and you might think, oh, that's the Department of Transportation, or that's something that the county does. But it took a lot of work by SCDOT, the county, the town, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. This has been in the works for decades. It happened in 3 phases, the second of which I believe was completed in 1998, according to speakers at the event. And it was phase 3 was just completed this year. Again, under budget and ahead of schedule, but still a process decades in the making. So that's very exciting. We're gonna move on to our next story, which is the Lieutenant Governor praised the YMCA's impact when she visited. So that was a story by Mr. Brandon Roberts. Would you like to speak about that?
Yeah, the Lieutenant Governor was at the Ponds facility of the Summerville YMCA. She was out there advocating for its programs and the YMCA in general, but also praising the public-private partnerships that are so important to the YMCA. For instance, Summerville YMCA, Y on the Fly, Boeing is a wonderful partner for the YMCA. And they can attribute a lot of their programs and projects to Boeing and other companies, public-private partnerships.
Something I'm really excited about in this paper is the Meet Your Public Servant series is back up and running. Sometimes we don't have anyone to cover that week. We reach out to folks. These are busy people. Lending your time to the newspaper is a totally elective thing to do. Nobody is obligated to speak with the journal scene. So we don't always have someone to profile for Meet Your Public Servants. But recently we re-upped our efforts to try and continue the series. We got a few more folks in the queue, and this week David Chinnis, chairman of the Dorchester County Council, was featured. He spoke a lot about property rights, public safety, also preserving green spaces. And one thing I love about this series is that we get to do a deep dive, of course, on our elected officials, where they stand and what issues matter to them, but we also get to see who they are as people. We get to know how and where did you grow up? Where did you go to school? What do you do outside of your time as a public servant? One thing that stood out to me is that Chairman Chinnis lends his time to a Boykin Spaniel rescue group and has Boykin Spaniels of his own. And I thought that was so fitting and awesome because a Boykin Spaniel is South Carolina's state dog. So I had fun doing this profile. You can read more about it on the front page and page A3.
Page A4 of this week's paper, Brandon Upton, the Folly Beach public safety officer, was escorted. His remains were escorted through Dorchester County. Eon went out, took some pictures of that, wrote a story about that. That was it's always a somber thing, to see that and how the first responders really come together with things like that, which is tragic, but nice way to recognize Mr. Upton there. Also, the Swan Drive kayak launch opened last week off the Ashley River Blue Trail. So the county commemorated that with a ribbon cutting, and the results of a walk audit that was conducted early in April were revealed, and there were, some cracked sidewalks, some missing crosswalks. Of course, people driving too fast near Summerville High School and Gregg Middle School. So interesting stuff about that on page A4. This is the second walk audit that the Summerville Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee has had. One of them was in town. I participated in that one physically, and this is the second one, and I'm sure there'll be plenty more in the future.
I was fortunate to attend a presentation at Middleton Place delivered by Reverend Chief John G. Creel, who's also a medical doctor. He is the chief of the Natchez Cousou tribe here in the Low Country. And that group is working to secure federal recognition, which could mean more protections and better funding. Something that I thought was very interesting in Dr. Creel's presentation was that he highlighted the free clinic that the group operates. It is a clinic that will take patients regardless of their insurance status, and they serve the whole community, not just members of their tribe. And so in working to secure federal funding, they can continue to pour into different initiatives such as that. I thought it was very illuminating, and I also learned that they were having a powwow that coming weekend. And so that was last weekend. I attended that as well, so there'll be another story about that in the next paper. But really great opportunity to highlight what they're doing and why it matters to them and to the broader community. Bentley Lewis was named the National Educator of the Year right here in Dorchester School District 2. She is the principal of Oak Brook Middle School, and she was selected as the 2025 Jostens Renaissance Educator of the Year. She is going to be honored with 3 other educators at the 32nd Annual Jostens Renaissance Global Conference in California. And I've said this before on the podcast, I'll probably say it more on future episodes, including right now. Local news is often national news, and I think it's awesome that we have someone from our community being recognized on that level. So a huge congratulations to Principal Lewis.
I want to say something real quick. The Reverend Chief Creel is also a medical doctor. He has 3 very esteemed titles. You don't find that too often. Page A6 this week is, at the top is Eon's story about the Dignity Project. The Dignity Project is, and you can read all about it in here, but it's an ad hoc group of community members who formed after George Floyd died to basically improve the relationship of the community and the police. And they are, and Eon can correct me if I'm wrong, very active. When this started, it's not waned. It's not, the participation has stayed the same, if not increased, in terms of what they're trying to do. So you may have heard of the Dignity Project. If not, you can read all about them on page A6. Also on A6 is the second installment of Poet's Place with our resident poet, Tris Vicino. She is a teacher by trade and a poet as well. But she and I, being a Kentuckian, she's not a Kentuckian, I'm a Kentuckian, but she and I share a love of the Kentucky Derby, which is coming up this Saturday, and her poem this week is about the Kentucky Derby. She loves horses, and I've been to probably 25 derbies in my life, so love the topic of the Poet's Place this week, and she's been very on top of that. The plan is for her to do it every week, so we think she will. I'm a member of the Rotary Club as well. The more recent Rotary Club meeting, we heard from Debbie Masadi from the International Primate Protection League, which we've talked about on here many times. A business story at the bottom of that page talking about the Goose Creek and Summerville Walmarts are said being prepped for some remodels. For those who shop, I read something that people south of the Mason-Dixon line spend a majority of their disposable income at Walmart. So if that's true, then that's good news for the Walmart shoppers.
I'm going camping this weekend with Evening Post Publishing. I just ordered a tent from Walmart. Good old Wally World. All right. On page A7, we have a few different stories, all different categories of story. I'll start with the one that I covered, which was County Expands Water Capacity, eyes grant for improvements. So this was just kind of a recap of the county council meeting. I think it's really important to report on the town and county council meetings because not a lot of people from the public attend, and those meetings are how our government makes decisions and affects the community, and it's important that we show what's going on there. The highlights from that were the county council voted to expand the water supply from Lake Marion Regional Water Agency, boosting capacity from 3 million gallons to 3.98 million gallons, so that's almost a full million extra gallons. And that's supposed to improve fire protection across Dorchester County. Public Information Officer Aaron Pomrenke wrote to me in an email that this assists with providing the necessary water quantity and pressure needed for fire hydrants to be operational for fire departments to suppress fires in the county. Okay, I know it sounds a little bit boring, but to me, the reason this is exciting is because I've heard people speak at public comment before on concerns about fire hydrant access and fire suppression, and this seems like a move to address some of those concerns. So it's like a sequel to old meetings that we've gone to. I don't know. I enjoyed seeing that. There was also a public hearing for a community development block grant. Nobody spoke at the public hearing. And I think that is a little disappointing because they're literally asking the community, hey, we may have an opportunity to get some money coming in. What is the best way to use it? And if people don't know about these meetings, they don't attend and they don't make their voices heard. So this is your reminder to follow the Journal Scene on social media. We post previews of meetings so you know what's going on, and we give you breakdowns afterwards. So if you want to get more engaged with what's happening in your town and county governments, then you can get more engaged with the Journal Scene, and we'll help you do that. Nobody spoke at the public hearing, and I would encourage our listeners to, if there is something that piques your interest, get up and speak in the future. Another article on the same page is that there's a new principal at Span Elementary. What's interesting to me is that this principal was originally serving as principal at Somerville Preparatory Academy, which is a charter school, and he left that role early and is now serving at Span Elementary. So a little transition there. Dr. Tony Wilson is his name, and he said, "I'm honored to join Span Elementary as principal and become part of this community of excellence. I look forward to working alongside dedicated educators, engaged families, and inspiring students as we continue to build on the school's strong foundation of academic achievement and character development. Together, we will create a supportive and enriching environment where every student can thrive." So that is an update for the Span Elementary community. There's also a story about Meals on Wheels and its accomplishments in 2024, as well as its goals for 2025. That might be worth a read, as they do a lot of service for the community.
The Loft Salon in Somerville is celebrating 25 years in business. When the business climate, especially in places that are growing like Somerville and its surrounding area, 25 years is a long time. And I interviewed Julie Curry, who co-owns the place, and she just said, they're just nothing. There's no secrets to it. They're just very, dedicated to their clients, and people like them, and they like their client. You know what I mean? It's just people like going there, and they have just continued to go there. So good job on the Loft for 25 years. South Carolina Works Trident is hosting its annual Your Next Step Career Fair on May 7th. That is at the Charleston Area Convention Center, and it's kind of geared toward high demand industries. There's 2 sessions, one for graduating seniors, and then one that's open to the public in general. But that's on page A9 of the print edition and online, journalscene.com. Sports pages, Pinewood baseball's in the playoffs. Somerville softball on the verge of clinching a region title. Somerville boys basketball program has a new head coach in Michael Jenkins, who is a Somerville graduate. So hiring one of their own there. And our Best of Prep Sports Awards is coming up on the May 8th, Thursday. It's an invite-only event, but it is a great event to honor the prep sports athletes in Dorchester and Berkeley counties. Always one of the more popular things we do, give these young student athletes some recognition. Somerville Baseball won its series with West Ashley. The Ashley Ridge girls soccer teams looking ahead of the playoffs. And then, of course, on page A14, as usual, is Sherry and Main Street Reads, or Somerville Reads submission that runs every week on the back page. And she is having an author there on May 18th, Julia Elliott, for those of you who may be interested. There's a QR code embedded in the article. You can scan it and get tickets the book signing is free, and then there's a reception. But you're still asked to get tickets, so you can scan that if you want to go to that.